Causation workshop. There we go. And present. All right. So I said I could give a couple page numbers. I'm going to hold off on this page number because I want to get started on this, and then the page numbers will make more sense. So today we're doing this. We're gathering evidence. We're going to have. My goal is that we fill out our matrix. We have our matrix filled out by the time we're done with class, and I think we will. I think we'll be well on our way. And so you'll have a matrix done today. As always, when you get in your small groups, make sure you write down into your matrix. You know, one person is going to have to share out, so be prepared to share out. But all of you write into your matrix, and so that you have that when you leave. And also when we present, when everybody gets together and presents, make sure whatever they say you write into your matrix. So you pretty much be ready by the time to write your essay tomorrow. You're still, I'm sure you're always going to want to go back and go, hey, you know, there were some things talked about today that I didn't really understand. So I need to go back in my book and kind of look that up and kind of get a little more refreshed. And so here's the thing, and I kind of adjusted this a little bit. I'm trying to make prompts in which your book is, which I like. Your book does this for me. I'm trying to make prompts like College Board does, where in days past, I'm talking about 4 years ago and prior, they used to, the prompt would actually say, examine the change over time of yada, 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 or compare and contrast yada, 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 or examine the causes behind yada, yada. You with me? And so the prompt actually spelled out what type of LEQ that you were to do, and because there's three right there on the screen, 3 types of LEQs that we have to know how to do, and so I've been trying to make the prompts as non-suggestive as possible. Does that make sense? Go like this if it makes sense. All right. And so examine how the ideas of enlightenment contributed to the Atlantic revolutions. Okay, that doesn't say what type. You already know what kind of LEQ we're going to write. If you looked at the calendar, it says causation workshop. So we're gonna do this as a causation. But could you do this LEQ differently? Anybody? Could you do a compare contrast? You could. You could compare the causes of the Enlightenment on this revolution versus that revolution. Yes? Yeah, you can do that. Could you do a change over time? Did the Enlightenment have more effect on earlier revolutions than later revolutions? Yeah, you could. And so I just want to point that out to you. The prompt, you could play it any way you want to, and you're often going to, that's what you've got to figure out in your brain. It's like, okay, here's a prompt. How do I want to approach this? Always approach it in the way that you feel most comfortable. But if it does have some key words, like the one I was keying off of, the reason why I like this one was contributed plus. Wait till you see what I'm going to show you in your book. So anyways, now, so the prompt is examine how the ideas of enlightenment contributed to the Atlantic revolutions. Okay, so far so good? All right, so do me a favor in your book right now. Turn to page 360 and look on the bottom left. Bottom left. See what I'm seeing? Okay, got some thumbs up. Okay, now this one's not as, okay, now notice also too, it's under causation. Did you see that? Okay, now look at 356, bottom left. This one's not quite as obvious, but it's, you see where enlightenment's being spread around, okay? Okay. Now go to 348. Bottom middle left. Does that look familiar? That, I think, is the prompt. Yeah. All right. Okay, that's where I stole it from. Now, one more. And this one, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to give you the page on it. But I'm going to say page 319 through 324. Okay. And then for contextualization, so where's contextualization pick up at? I think contextualization may be most of chapter 7. Yeah, it's kind of pretty much contextualization. Because I'm going to make a group of contextualization, and it's most of chapter 7. All right. So this is a chapter 7, chapter 8 kind of essay, which is good. We need those. We need to. The more review, the better. But I'm giving you those pages and those things there, because you're going to have to go off on a treasure hunt for facts. And one of the things I like about your book is it kind of it has these little prompts off to the side whenever it's talking about that kind of stuff. And so it'll give you some ideas. Hey, I'm gonna go look here. I'm gonna go look here. I'm gonna go look here. Oh, I'm doing contextualization. Oh man, I got to do all of chapter 7. But I'll give you a hint too. Go back and pull up the chapter 7 review. Okay, if you're doing contextualization and think about, okay, what happened in chapter 7 that sets up these revolutions. Okay, what is happening? What is going on in chapter 7? And so you can either do it one of two ways. You can look through your book, or you can look through that chapter review that we did. All right, so let's see what we got here. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to break you up, and I really need to add one more breakout group there. I'm going to put contextualization. So there's going to be 7 breakout groups. You're going to end up in one of them. And so here's the thing. Let me go back to something here real quick. Yeah, I'm going to share this tab here. Oh, it did it again. Why does it do that? It bumps me out. Whenever I try to shift a tab, it bumps me out. So anyways, sorry about that. So I want this guy here. Come on. There we go. Being really, really slow today. All right, so if you'll notice here, I have 2 different matrices. Do you see that? Go like this if you see it. All right. Because there's 2 ways to approach this, and we got to figure this out as a class, which one we want to do. And so I don't know how to do this. Probably it's best to go look at the evidence, and then maybe we'll do that. We'll go look at the evidence. Maybe we'll have 2 small group, what do you call those meetings? Let's see what's I call them. Breakout rooms. Maybe we'll have 2 breakout rooms. Maybe we'll go look at the evidence, collect the evidence, and then figure out which matrix we want to go on to. Because you got 2 ways to approach this. You can either, if you look at the top matrix, it's cause and effect of the 2 columns. If you look at the second matrix, and I'm thinking the second matrix may be a little better and a little easier to do if you come up with 2 causes that were brought about by the Enlightenment. I think the second one may be easier, but you can either, the prompt, you always got to pay homage to the prompt. You have to answer the prompt. And with causation, oftentimes it'll give you a plural. Examine the causes of this, and so, or examine the effects of this. Sometimes it'll say examine the cause and effect of this, pay homage to this. And whenever it leaves it vague, you kind of have the ability to use either or, but you should always hit both. Because one of the things, if nothing else, if you do, and that's if you look at the second one, the analysis, notice for the analysis, I have long-lasting effect. In your analysis, make sure you cover effects. If you're going to go with two causes, hit effect. So in your small groups, as you're gathering evidence, and I will come visit you, and we'll probably have a small evidence gathering, and we'll decide which matrix we like. Okay, and then we'll bump out of that. We'll come back into a main group, and then we'll go back in. Now that we know that, we'll go back in and do that. So I'm kind of, I didn't mean to do this on you on purpose, but as I was thinking about this morning, I was going, I was thinking an easier essay might be that second matrix. So that's my thinking. We're going to have we'll have a small huddle, go look at the evidence, come back. We'll determine whether we want to go first matrix or second matrix, and then we'll go back in. All right. It may take us a little bit longer because of that small huddle, but that's what I wanted to make sure you understand. Questions on the two matrices? Does anybody not see the difference? I'm assuming silence.
Like just two causes, and you wouldn't like explain the effects of the two causes?
Well, you know, how did the enlightenment contribute to this cause? How did the enlightenment contribute to this cause? Enlightenment comes to bear in the revolutions. It really does. Enlightenment plays a huge part. Now, how did it contribute? And maybe this would be, maybe I should say, contribute to revolution. Oops. Number one, and contribute to revolution. And they're not two different revolutions, but they're contributions to the revolution. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and I just did this morning, so I apologize if and oftentimes you're going to do this. Quite honestly, when you're kind of formulating how am I going to make this essay, you're thinking on the go, and you just roll with it, because as long as you're answering the prompt, and you've got facts to back it up, life is good. You're going to get a good grade. All right? Does that make sense, Carl? All right. Did anybody get a hold of Audrey? Does anybody know Audrey? Aurora, what'd she say? She coming?
She's not feeling well today, and staring at a screen probably wouldn't help that. So.
Okay. All right, so can you like help her out afterwards and say, yo, here's what you missed? Okay, you're a great friend. All right. So now let's go back to this guy. Let's see, I'm gonna try sharing this tapping. Did it bump me out? Yeah, it bumped me out again. So that's new thing with Google Meet. It's being weird. All right, so and this is what I talked about. We will gosh, I hate when it does this too. Back, come on. I talk to inanimate objects all the time. I'm sorry. So we talked about we may do one of these two here, and then so we'll go look at the evidence, and I'll call you guys back, and we'll figure out which one we want to do, and then we'll work our way into putting evidence into the columns and presenting them out. All right. Questions on what we're doing? We're going to look at the evidence, and we're going to figure out which matrix we want to use. Make sense? All right. Cool. Offer a question if you got a question while I am making up the breakout rooms right now.
So do we do all of the spiced here? Just do
one?
one?
I'm going to give you, yeah, you're going to end up in a breakout room that's going to say what you are.
Okay. I was like, wait, what?
No, it's either going to say contextualization or one of the spiced T words.
Okay, so we're finding one of the spiced T words, but do we have to find it for a specific causation or just in general?
Well, what you're looking for is like for example, socially, how did the Enlightenment affect revolutions? Socially.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Because I was wondering, because we have two different causations, so I was wondering if we were gonna, in our small groups, pick the causation and then spice T it. No,
it's this is kind of like a DBQ where you come up with the things and you go, what's one cause?
Oh, okay.
Here's another cause. It's going to be the same thing like a DBQ where you come up with that umbrella. Okay. So let's go contacts. So people are starting to come back, but while you guys were off doing what you're doing, and I was kind of, I kind of changed up the matrix just a tad. That's what I think sometimes, we used to have a saying in the Navy, as flight crew, we would take the amount of time to pre-flight plan for a flight that was given us. In other words, if it's called P and F. P is the planning, F is the flight. And the flight's typically in a prowler. We got an hour and a half, unless you got some tanking, and probably some of the longest missions I did were probably about 10 hours. And so anywhere from an hour and a half to 10 hours. But the planning portion of it, if they gave you 2 hours, you would take all 2 hours to plan for the mission. If they gave you 2 days, you would take the most of 2 days to plan for the mission. And P was always bigger than F. And so here we are, we're kind of faced with that same thing. We got lots of time to think about this and tweak it and tweak it and tweak it. Quite honestly, when you're doing this on a real essay, you're not going to have all this time. You're just going to throw something together and you're going to go with it. And as long as you can defend it, life is good. So having said all that, I changed it while you guys were in your little breakout rooms. And I don't know if you like it or you not, if you don't like it. But you see my 2 columns, I changed them just a little bit. What are your thoughts on those? Does it fit more with what you're doing? Okay, here's what we're going to find out too. Okay, I want as people present, and we'll go through that. We need to get rolling on that here pretty quick. As you present, if you want to change that right now, you can copy and paste mine and throw it on yours, so we're all dealing with the same sheet of music. Give us an enlightenment, your strongest enlightenment contribution, and your next strongest enlightenment contribution to a revolution. Does that make sense? Come up with your top 2, and then so like I'm gonna steal economics. I'll show you with economics here. They're gonna probably do it much better than me, but slavery, huge. Mostly because of this right here. I'm gonna color that in. Can I color that in? Yes. How do I color that in? Where's my little fill-in thing? Anyways, I can't fill it in. There it is. Boom. Because of that. Okay, so since we're hitting cause and cause, we have to hit effect. I'm going to highlight that right there. We have to hit effect in our analysis because some of you guys have visited with in a causation, you have to hit both sides of the curtain. You got to hit the cause and the effect. And since we're hitting cause and cause, we need to hit effect. And slavery, I'll let the group when we get there, has tons of long-lasting effects. And slavery is against enlightenment. All men are created equal except for your skin color. Not. Okay. So, anyways, let me like undo all these things I just did. Here we go. Come on, what's going on here? Voila. All right. So I'm going to stop presenting, and I'm turning it over to my social people. Who's my social people? Somebody give us your top 2. Go ahead and take over the reins of presenting.
Okay, I was not prepared to do 2 contributions, so this is what I think are the top 2. The first one would be the French Revolution and their Declaration of Rights of Man, because of the social classes and how it was like really split apart and all that jazz. And then the second one would probably be what's that? The Haitian Revolution. Wait, the one with the hold on, give me a second. No, yes, it would be the Haitian Revolution because of basically the same thing, because of slavery and since Napoleon kind of messed things up in Europe, and they were kind of split apart. So, yeah, the slaves rebelled, and the higher ups were kind of lost in the jazz, and that's my second one.
Okay. I like your Creoles and your Peninsulares too, your Latin American revolutions.
Yeah, I just didn't know how to say it.
Yeah, no, I like that too, because that's like huge. The Creoles were deeply offended, like, hey, wait a second, all men are created equal. What do you mean I can't govern? Yeah, so yeah, you got three there that I see. As you said, the French Revolution with the Declaration of the Rights of Man, that influenced where they were going. The Haitian revolutions and slavery affected. And see, the Haitian Revolution I like too, because you have to, one of the things, and I said this earlier, if we play slavery, I like playing that card. No, don't get me wrong, I'm saying this, but hear me out. I like using slavery in economics as a enlightenment contribution to a revolution for two reasons now. One, because we can talk about the Haitian Revolution. Okay, and we have to hit CDs, right? We have to hit 5 CDs. And if we talk about the slavery as an enlightenment contribution to revolutions, we can introduce the Haitian Revolution as part of our storyline. Make sense? So remember that when we get down to economics with slavery, remember the Haitian Revolution, kind of tag that somehow or another, because we can play that in as either a long-lasting effect, or we can just play that in as part of it. Anyways, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there, but I like I like the Creoles and Peninsulares. I like the Haitian Revolution. I love those two. Those are good, and the Declaration of Rights of Man works good too. Thanks, Kyle. Go ahead, stop presenting, and my political people, you're up.
I can present if you want, Natalie. So politically, it was kind of hard because after the revolution, some places didn't really get like a set form of government. But like, so what we put for the American Revolution, one causation that was probably the strongest causation was they wanted to gain independence. So politically, they got rid of monarchy. Same with the French. They kind of wanted to get rid of the monarchy because they were taxing them too much. And then the Haitian, politically, they wanted to like get out of the French rule. And then Latin, it caused them to be more independent. But the second causation would be like what government came out of Enlightenment. And that was kind of harder because some of the places were like unstable, or they didn't form government yet, or like that. So the Americans, they formed a democracy, but the French, so in our textbook, it doesn't actually get to the point of what government they formed. It just ends at Napoleon. He like came to power, but after they formed the first, or the I think it was the First Republic or the New Republic, and Latin, it doesn't really say like what form of government they became, or they came to, because they went into like different states. But it did say that they were politically unstable. Like it caused them to be politically unstable.
Okay, I can give you a little help too, because you need some CDs. So for your American Revolution, so a couple CDs you could throw in there would be Breaking the Social Contract, and then comma, Declaration of Independence. So that way, because you got to have CDs. So when the social contract was broken, that caused revolutions. And the Declaration of Independence basically was an itemized list of here's how you broke the social contract. You broke the social contract here. You broke the social contract here. You broke, and so you could say that as a contribution, in Enlightenment contributions to the revolutions was the breaking of the social contract, as in the Declaration of Independence. You could also, as you talked about, with the American Revolution, the Enlightenment was made. The Enlightenment came to bear after the Revolution by the Bill of Rights, the forming of the Constitution, which included the Bill of Rights. And those were all Enlightenment ideas: freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, on and on and on. Okay, freedom of religion. Those were all Enlightenment ideas, and those were born out in the Bill of Rights. So yeah, nice job. Nice job.
So I had a question. Should I just get rid of like the other revolutions if I have like all the evidence for the American Revolution?
Yep.
Okay.
I always, what I typically do on these things here is I throw everything that's in my brain down, but I try and concentrate on things that I have CDs for, because I may have like lots of narrative that's going on in my brain, but really what you want in these little thingies here on your matrix is CDs, because you got to hit that number 5. And so here, social contracts a CD, Declaration of Independence is a CD, Bill of Rights is a CD. So there's 3 CDs right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, looks good. Thanks.
Would the Common Sense pamphlet also count as a CD?
Yeah, Thomas Paine. Yeah, that would count. That definitely would count. Yeah, I would throw that in there too as Thomas Paine. And I have it. That's a cool little book. You guys can read that. This is it. Look how easy that is to read. And this, which is kind of cool if you understand this, Thomas Paine's Common Sense actually goes around the world. Everybody reads this little pamphlet and says, hey, it's common sense to have a revolution and overthrow. That's great. Kyle, that's a good one. That's a good CD. Because this is Enlightenment ideas that all, I won't say all the revolutionary leaders read, but it travels globally. Common Sense by Thomas Paine. All right, so who's my interaction? You guys had a toughie.
Abigail, do you want to? I'm sorry, my boxes aren't completely done. So
Okay.
I'm
It's
sorry.
I mean, if you can narrate verbally what you got. So who are we waiting on?
I'm trying to present it, but it won't let me present any of my tabs.
Ah. Who's your partner in crime?
Abigail. I don't know why it won't work. I'm sorry, I can't get it.
Well, it's okay, Madeline. What did you have for like your top 2? And I'll caveat both yours and technology. There we go. Abigail's is coming up.
So our strongest ones was Napoleon kicking out Spanish and Portuguese royalty, and that would eventually lead to the Latin American Revolution, and France invading countries like Germany, Egypt, and Poland, which would then lead to like them spreading Enlightenment ideals.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. That was the one I pointed at. I don't remember. I lost my pages. I took all my little things out. But yeah, that one part where Napoleon going around rampaging is basically spreading enlightenment ideas. And so it's his campaigns in a roundabout way promote the enlightenment by the spreading of ideas. And so it's kind of this one in technology are probably our weakest areas for CDs. But he does play a part in what he does. And so, yep, that would do his European campaign, Napoleon's European campaign. Okay, thanks, Abigail. Who's my cultural?
That would be me and Alyssa. Oh, tab.
See, I like when you guys do this because it gives you a new appreciation for me.
My computer is being a bit slow, so if it's not scrolling, apologies. Okay. So, oh no, there it goes. Okay, so for ours, we had one of the big reasons was the Enlightenment was against the church being a part of the state. And the church was a big, like, cultural influence. And then, so I also threw divine rights. Okay, it's not loading. Oh, well.
It got really
So
cool,
I
right?
also threw divine. So I also threw a divine right of kings in there, kind of to go with the church again being against a part of the state. And then there was also nationalism, which was like bringing together people from their culture to like go against things. I'm gonna stop presenting because my computer is being slow.
Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, that's the
My computer is being very slow with stuff.
Sorry about that. I think if one thing this whole distance learning thing we're learning is who has high speed internet and who needs high speed internet. And I'm not picking on your Aurora. Just I don't know that mine would do any better if I was doing it from home either. So, but I'm into the district's landline here, so I have a little bit of advantage. So okay, so we've got the church's role with regards to divine right, and that's the thing too that is we haven't got to contextualization yet. I'm kind of jumping the gun. You're going to find out with contextualization, the church's role is falling off, and the rights of man, anything where that bumps up against all men are created equal, well, except for a priest. No, all men are created equal. And so, yeah, the role that the church played. And what else did you have, Aurora? I lost her.
So besides the church, we also had nationalism. And nationalism was like bringing together people from like the same culture. So like that's pretty important for like rebellions, because like if y'all can like relate to each other and y'all are like part of like the same culture, that's gonna be, I guess, more motivating to go against whatever you're going against.
I'll give you the Enlightenment term for that. It's called popular sovereignty, or better yet, self-determination. The people, we the people have the right to make the government that we the people want. It's called self-determination. And popular sovereignty is that we have a scratch popular sovereignty. I don't want that one. Self-determination fits better.
Alyssa was in the same group as me, so she's going to present as my thing is being weird.
Okay.
yeah, so we had a separation of church and state and divine right. So they were like, no, let's separate the church from the state, and let's get rid of divine right entirely because that's not good. And then you have nationalism, and then it kind of has that big trickle down effect, and it impacts a bunch of different things.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I think that brings us to economic.
My Chromebook is being super slow, but I will attempt to share my screen. It'll load. There we go. It's getting there slowly.
I wonder in future times if I take one document.
Caitlin, if yours is going faster, you can present.
If I take a document and share it with everybody, and then we all write into that document, I don't know how crazy that would get. I've done it in class, and it works in class because we can say, okay, because we can watch the document begin to morph into something weird, and we can tell people, hey, wait, hey, my cultural group, slow down, slow down. You're messing things up, and I don't know if we can do that in an online setting, but it probably would be nicer because you could just type into that particular thing. I don't know. Thinking out loud.
Is it sharing?
No, I haven't seen anything yet.
Is it sharing now?
Still not seeing it. Anybody seen it?
I could try, Leah. I don't know if it's going to work any better on my side, but...
You could try turning off your camera because I know when mine's going super slow, the camera can definitely impact that a lot.
Leah, I have your presentation coming up, but it's not actually showing anything other than an L. Yeah, I have a big old L sitting in.
Hold it to stop.
What's that?
Yeah.
Well, you can leave it there.
Stop presenting.
Just go ahead and talk us through the two.
Okay. So
What do you got?
for economic, like you mentioned earlier, we brought up the slave trade. Specifically, since the Enlightenment ideas, all men are created equal. So we bring up specifically the Haitian Revolution, but labor shortages because there weren't any slaves, and then elsewhere there was more slaves and more work because they had to make up for the loss of the sugar production from Haiti. So that was one cause and effect. And then another one was with the American Revolution, with taxation and social contract, which would then, the effect would be like the Declaration of Independence, which took from the Enlightenment ideals, Constitution, presidential system, and then a national budget and tax system, economic-wise. I don't know if Caitlin has anything to add to that.
No, that looks good because it came up now. It's
Yeah, I see it.
I think where'd it go?
Yeah, Caitlin.
It was good there.
It was up.
It was perfect. It looked great. And then it just went away. So anyways, it looked good. Hopefully you guys caught some of that stuff and then you were listening to Leah. Caitlin, can you get that back up there or no? Is it gone forever?
I'll try. Sorry.
No, it was perfect. It was I was just starting to just enjoy it and then it went away. So if you,
is this going to be posted later on the
Sorry.
Google Classroom?
I'm sorry, Nisa?
I said, is this call going to be posted later on the Google Classroom?
I will try. And I'm wondering if you're noticing when I try to present stuff and change it, it's not staying. And so I'm wondering, I'm going to do the same thing and hopefully all this got recorded and all this is viewable. And if so, I will post it. That's my hope. I think like fingers crossed. Anyways, so did you guys catch that or not?
Can you see
No.
it? Is it coming up?
No.
But not.
Mr. Crouch, could I try like sharing it with you and then you can share your screen?
Sure. I guess that's another thing we could do too is you guys share it with me and then I pull it open and share it with everybody. I'm waiting for the little email that says somebody has shared something with you. I haven't seen it yet.
Mr. Crouch, can you look at our works through the Google Classroom, even if we don't turn it in?
That's another good question. Let me see. Well, let me see. No, because it's not. I have shared. No, because I've given you material. I haven't given you an assignment. When I give an assignment, I can jump in. But I can only jump into what you guys did today if you share it with me. Yeah, I'm still not seeing it. Have you shared it with me? I really liked what I saw too. That's a shame too. Yeah, it's not coming up. I keep seeing the one. 1 second. Well, while we're waiting for that too, just a reminder now, we only have to hit 2 contributions. We have to hit 2 contributions. And so we actually have lots and lots of contributions and we need to hit one in one spice tea category and another one in another spice tea category. So I would look at this as a target rich environment. And since we're hitting causes, okay, I think yours just popped up. Okay, cool. Yeah, I got it. So here, present tab. There we go. Okay. And let me see if I can make this just a little easier to read. There we go. Is that viewable? All right, it's all yours. Do you want to say any more or you just want to let people look at that?
What I said before is basically that, so copy
Yeah.
what you need.
Yep.
Not really much else to add.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And this works great. as a long-lasting effect. Yeah, this is the slavery. I mean, slavery has the whole prejudice, political prejudice that are introduced by slavery has long-lasting effects in the sense that it's going to take a long time for people of color to reach equality in throughout the world, you know. And so yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier. We have to hit one set of causes, or one cause of the revolutions based in enlightenment, and we have to hit another cause, and then we have to have long-lasting effects. And I like this one here in economic, because of the Haitian Revolution and the whole equality for people of color. So, all right. So I'm going to stop presenting that, which brings us next to, I think we're down to, let's see what we got here. Where are we at here? So I told technology, don't worry about it, because we had a powwow, and technology doesn't come to bear, doesn't play a part. And so I excuse them. So the last group to present is contextualization. And I'm going to add something to their contextualization. Whoever that is, if you'll start bringing that up. If you go down the road of using slavery as your economic, and you're going to tie in the Haitian Revolution, and you're going to tie in the long-lasting inequality with people of color, which I think that's a money winner for you. And contextualization, they have some other things they're going to talk about, because I already know what they're going to talk about. But I would probably add in the the Atlantic slave trade / plantation system into your contextualization, because it sets up slavery. Does that make sense? If you're going to go down that road. So I'm waiting for the contextualization people to pull their stuff. There we go. It's coming. Cool.
Is it present tense?
Say again? I see it.
Is it presenting?
Yep, I see it.
Is it showing up yet?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's there. I was just waiting for somebody to speak to it.
Oh, okay. Most of the stuff that we found, it goes under cultural. I don't know what else to say.
Well, we talked about in your group, when I was in your group, we talked about changing the status quo. Okay, and for those, the status quo, and I probably should have Webster defined it, but status quo is the way things are right now. And so there is a whole bunch of contextualization with regards to changing the status quo. I mean, the Renaissance comes in and brings a rebirth of knowledge, reduces the power of the church. The Protestant Reformation comes in, breaks down the power of the church. And you have to understand the church is a political player. And so boom, boom, two left, right to the church. It's going to knock them down. Scientific revolution is examining, taking this knowledge and applying it to long-lasting theories and changing them as they need to be. And the scientific revolution is kind of copied into politics. The scientific revolution, that whole kind of questioning why things are, is there a better way to do things, is actually applied into politics. And so all of those are challenging the status quo. And so you've got, in contextualization, you've got a target-rich environment for political change about to happen because of the church losing power and people now questioning, is there a better way to do things? Thank you, scientific revolution. And then I would also add, as you guys did too on yours there, I would add an introduction to the slave trade. Because if you're going to, and I would only do that if you're going to use slavery as one of your Enlightenment contributions to a revolution. If you're going to use that, then you need to set it up in your contextualization. Thank you, Allison. Okay, so here's, let me back up here and kind of wrap this up for you guys and see if I can wrap it up. Let me see here, present. All right, so let me change this real quick before I present. Let me change this here. Let's see what we got here. Give me un momento, por favor. Copy this. Paste. There we go. All right, present. There we go. So hopefully you're seeing the same thing I'm seeing. And let me give me this guy here. So all you need, what I would do is I would put your CDs that you have in here, put your contextualization that we talked about, figure out your top two, and you know if you like, I don't know, I'm gonna, if I was writing this, slavery, slavery would be here because I can play a whole bunch of stuff over here. And let me fix this here too. I'm gonna do something else. All right. I would play slavery here because I could talk about the Haitian Revolution. And I would have slavery down here. I would have the Haitian Revolution down here, and I would talk. Or I might even play the Haitian Revolution over here. Maybe that might work over there. So slavery is going to be one. If I'm going to do slavery, I'm going to put slavery over here. I'm going to set up the slavery over here. But come up with your two strongest ones. You heard everybody present. You know, hey, here's our top two. Find your top two and make sure they're in two different spice tea categories. Make sense? And so your top two, and make sure that whatever you play in those top two, you come up with at least 5 CDs. You have to have 5 CDs, and I'm not talking in your contextualization, out of your contextualization, in your two things. You have to have them. The political one had some good ones too, because they had Bill of Rights and they had social contract for breakups. Yeah, those would work. So there's 2. Anyways, I'm gonna leave the math up to you. You figure out what CDs you're gonna use. Does that make sense? So your contextualization, set it up, whether you talk about changing the status quo or whether you introduce the slave trade. Come up with your top 2 and make sure in these 2 columns you have at least 5 CDs. And work on an area. And I keep losing my little dot here. Work on an area. So you're going to, a political contribution of the Enlightenment on the revolutions would be yada yada. An economic contribution, Enlightenment contribution to the revolutions, yada yada. Okay. And then you have in your analysis. If you're hitting causes here, your analysis should be an effect, a long-lasting effect. Questions on your material before I jump into the outline? All right. So it's the same thing we have done and that's, I'm hoping that you're starting, when I come to this page, it's like, there's nothing new. You know how they're outlined. And so, and I would probably change it up just a little bit since we went a certain way. And so you come up with two, oh man, I gotta change this. And so, because we did cause and cause. And I'm not gonna sit here and massage this the way it needs to, but that second sentence needs to be changed. We agree. Another way that enlightenment ideas. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I'm not going to massage this, but anyways, so oh, that works too. Enlightenment ideas also contributed to the in that. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, anyways, that's close enough. So that's going to be your gist there. You're going to you'll have your two topic sentences, which will be borne out here and here, and I need to change that to cause. Your CD and your CM with regards to a revolution, and another CD and CM with regards to a revolution, and your long-lasting effect. You don't have to hit that both times. You have to hit it once. You have to have analysis at least once. So you don't feel bad if you like, well, hey, I can do analysis here, but I can't really do it here. Don't worry about it. You got to hit it once. If you can, hit it twice, hit it twice. All right, questions on your outline? That's going to be the same as always. It's going to be your the same exact grade sheet you've been seeing. You got to hit your contextualization in two different categories. In this case here, it'll be cause and cause. Don't worry about the cause and effect. You got to have two causes, but your analysis here will have to hit the effect. Okay. So your topic sentences and your evidence. You want to hit at least 5 pieces of evidence. And I think that's it. I need to change that slide. I copied that from an old presentation. It's no longer right. Anyways, tomorrow we're writing the essay. Questions?